Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terebinth Leadership. Welcome and thank you for joining the program. Today, we're going to be talking about the recent news about the Israeli-American military integration. I'm not sure if I know the exact nomenclature, what happened in Congress, and I think it still needs to pass the Senate. But the point is we don't even have to get into the details. This is going to happen either way. And what is that? Well, we keep saying many times that America is no longer a sovereign country. And I keep saying it's a global corporation and it's controlled by foreign interests. And those foreign interests could be global corporations or it could be Israel himself. But I would say what country probably has the most influence on America? Probably Israel. We're going to talk about that. This is where I disagree with some of the people talking here. But anyway, we'll talk into that. Let's go over some recent news here on X. And like I keep telling, what do I keep saying about the entire thesis of my subject? Collapse, revolution, civil war. It's not going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. In fact, let me go to this one here. Now let's interesting about this topic. Let's talk about Ambassador Huckabee. This is the ambassador to Israel and who should represent America and America's interests. The guy sounds like he's an ambassador for Israel, and your taxpayer money is paying this. This is what I'm saying about why does Israel have so much influence? I believe, and this comes from counterintelligence, and you've probably heard this on other programs. Why do people not necessarily fundamentally commit espionage? You know, that's a very conventional, traditional trait. But why would they, you could say, be recruited and be an asset or an agent for a foreign country? There's many reasons. One is ideology. So I really do think one of the areas is this thing called Christian Zionism. And again, I'm not an expert on Christianity, nor am I expert on Judaism, but I would not be surprised that some of these people, why would they put Israel first or the Jews first? There is some ideology. And again, for those that are experts in Christianity, this would be an interesting thing. And the other part, it's money. It's just purely money. And I've seen that before. It could be China the next day. It could be other foreign assets or foreign agents the other day, but it's purely for money. So there's a combination. How much is that broken into? Meaning, why is our government co-opted with Israel? How much is Christian Zionism? And how much is pure money? I don't know. That's an interesting question. But I do believe it's not purely one, meaning it's not just for the money. There's some type of ideology where what I've seen in China, I don't see ideology. Like, why would our American corporations and politicians co-opt for China? I really see it as pure money, monetary gain, where Israel could be different. There is a segment that is Christian Zionist. It is what it is. I mean, they're hard to explain, but that's them. Anyway, let's go. This could be Mike Huckabee. What would this guy be considered a traitor to the American people? Yeah, I'll buy that for $1, but here's Mikey.
So God, whether anyone likes it or not, selected the Jewish people to be an instrument through which he would bring his law. It is the Jewish foundation upon which Christianity is built. People can argue all they want to. Jesus was Jewish. The early church, they were all Jews. Everything about the New Testament is built upon the Old Testament. If a person says, I don't really care for the Old Testament, then it's like throwing out most of the New Testament, because the Old Testament is that upon which the New Testament is built. So as Christian believers, we owe the foundation of our faith to the Jewish faith. Without the Jews, there would be no Christianity. So here's the way I look at it. It is the Jewish people upon which Christianity is built. It is the Judeo-Christian foundation upon which Western civilization was built. If there was no Western civilization, the idea of the sanctity of the individual, where'd that come from? From the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Exactly.
Where did that get into motion in government? Was it from ancient Rome? No. Was it from ancient Greece? No. Was it from the Ottoman Empire? No. There was one foundation from which this incredible revolutionary idea that was the genesis of America, it came from the Judeo-Christian understanding of the sanctity of the individual, the worth, the value of each person, and the rights that come to each person are a gift from God, not from any government. If there had not been an Israel, there would never have been an America. That's my point. It is an evolution of geopolitical thought. It is also an evolution of biblical reality. So God, whether...
So if Mike Huckabee was an Israeli diplomat, it would make perfect sense, right? I mean, he's selling the Jewish story to the American people. Considering this guy is an American ambassador and your tax money is paying this guy's salary, it's just good. Like I said, two things I'm glad I'm not serving the military anymore. I don't believe in voting, and I'm not paying my American taxes anymore. I'm done with that. But this is just something I just don't think it's going to change until hard times come. I just don't think Americans are going to wake up to it. But if you're not shocked as an American that your American taxpayer money is paying this guy to be an ambassador to speak on behalf of America, he sounds like he's speaking on behalf of Israel. I don't have a problem with Israel. I think Israel is smart. I think the Jews are smart. I think the Americans are dumb. And what do I mean by that? Because what I try to say is think about when I wrote my book, Patriots Betrayed. Did China betray us? The Chinese government, they have a loyalty to the Chinese people. What about the Israeli government? Should they be loyal to the American people? I mean, I guess so if you say we're allies, but first and foremost to the Israelis and to the Jews. What about the American government? That's where the betray is. But I even go lower, and we're gonna show you some clips here. I keep saying that the globalist corporations, the globalist government, and I haven't changed my mind on that. But as I'm on social media, as I've dropped down lower and lower, and I'm dealing with regular, average American citizens, meaning white people, a lot of them suck. I mean, these people, if you think that the people are going to betray you or only, because you got to think about it, and we'll do clips. They talk about the American politicians are corrupt. They lie, they're evil, they're swindlers, and the American people aren't. That doesn't make any sense. So the American people, what do I think on this? Well, it goes back, and we'll do another clip. And because we got to move on here, but I really think it comes down to the average white European American man. Something is wrong with him. His testosterone, he's gotten weak, he's not a Christian. And I've said this when I left in 2010. It's about, and we're going to talk too about the military. I'm not a big fan of these military guys. Most of them are doing their job for a paycheck and a pension. But when you have a country filled with Christianless, we are not a Christian nation anymore in America. It is what it is. We're not a European country anymore. So the point is, if you keep going, who is the average white American man now compared to 100 years ago? I think it's radically different. But the thought that these politicians are so evil, like this guy, Mike Huckabee, is he a traitor? Well, I'm not going to argue with that. Probably so. But you say Mike Huckabee's a traitor, but he's not like those good old-fashioned American men. I don't think so. We're going to, like I said, I'm going to show you some clips. So what do I keep saying about this? This system's done. But there are strong white American men. I think they're the minority, and I think they are going to rise. But if you ask me, David, what do I think about the average white American man? I don't know. He's a pussy. It just is. And if you want the Jews to rule over you, then go for it. I don't give a shit. I mean, I left America. There's some people talking about how I should be arrested because I'm foaming a revolution in America. Not even close. I left. I left America in 2010. This ship, like the Titanic, is sinking. Let's go to the next one here. And we're going to show you this about betrayal. And again, these are politicians. So again, remember this. Our politicians are corrupt, evil, whatever you want to do it, but not the American people. The American people are good, hardworking, tell the truth, everything. But it's just our politicians. Really? Well, where do these politicians come from? Probably the American people. Don't you think so? Same thing. If you think, but David, not those West Pointers. Nah, I think West Pointers suck too. It's dropping. FBI, everything's dropping. I'm telling you, believe it or not, if you think voting and paying your taxes is going to change this problem, have fun. Here we go. Let's go to the next one here. And I thought this would be interesting. This is, and again, we're just doing news. This is again with Nancy Mace. She's I've said many times, she's a whore. And I'll do a video on her. I'm about the same age as her. We're very familiar. She went to the Citadel Military School. I have friends who went there with her and know her. But I wrote her many times saying, I'm an American military veteran. I have government. And she's ignored me. And then she went with Trump, and now Trump is dumping her. You know what this reminds me a little bit? When I was in Beijing and the Boeing Corporation, which is basically the American government, they betrayed me and they sided with China. But guess what? they thought, yeah, we're going to side with China. Who cares about this military veteran? Because I am a representation of the American people. Well, Boeing's not. Boeing would be more a representation of the American government. So they betrayed me, the American people, and they sided with China for money. But guess what? China, and I don't blame China. China eventually, they're going to fuck Boeing in the asshole. They will, because it's China first. And then when Boeing has a problem with China in the war, they're going to call on American military veterans to help them. Fuck them. So Nancy Mace, she knows about me. I mean, this is a repeating story. This is not about me. Everyone has these stories in America where you have the corrupt politicians or these entities who betrayed the people that they should have had on their team, and they sided like she sided with Donald Trump. I'm becoming less and less of a fan of Donald Trump. We all know that. The only problem is, who would I support? No one. And I've said this before. The best is yet to come in terms of political leadership. You haven't seen anything yet. But Trump is not going to solve this problem. But anyway, Nancy Mace, anyway, we'll go to this. She decided to side with Donald Trump and everything, and he's dumping her. Nancy Mace sucks. And let me just, before we do, we got a lot to talk about. I say again, if you're a traditional, I don't know what MAGA stands for. A lot of people voted for MAGA because they thought it would stand for something called nationalism. Yeah, right. I mean, could it be the most nationalist party we have? Perhaps. I mean, maybe, perhaps. We'll talk about that later because, again, voting's not going to work. But let's make the point done. If you are portraying yourself as a traditional woman, as a conservative woman, as whatever, and you're a politician, then you're a hypocrite. Conservative women are not leaders. Conservative women are submissive women to their man. They don't run for office. And if you're like, fuck you, I don't want to be a submissive woman, that's fine, be a feminist. I mean, I don't have a problem with feminists, but you call it like it is. She's a feminist, and we don't have to get into it, but feminism is a problem. That's another thing. But my thing with Nancy Mace, Trump ruins her career. What do I think about that? Karma. Just like Boeing, I was a representation of the American people. Right? I was an American military veteran, and I called up corruption to the Boeing Corporation. And the Chinese government came to my aid, and Boeing sided with China. Do you think China is going to side with Boeing in the long run? They won't. I don't blame them. And if Boeing becomes bankrupt, there's a bigger picture. I'm telling you, these videos are going to age like fine wine. But let's go. Let's keep going to the next one here. This one, let me see what this pops up. Yeah, this is just interesting one right here. Let me bring this up here. I think we talked about it last time, but we got to talk about freedom of speech, which we're losing. I don't know if you guys remember this. This is this woman, whatever. She said the word nigger. Remember, nigger is an impolite word, and generally you should not say the word nigger. But I'm not going to be a cuck and say the N-word. If it's called nigger, then you say nigger. But it is an impolite word, and generally shouldn't say it. But freedom of speech is freedom of speech. So I guess this woman said the nigger word and whatever, she's in trouble. I'm telling you, people, keep this up. Your freedoms are gone. What do I keep saying in America? And again, it's a very difficult thing. When I wrote my book, I did the best thing. But what would be at least a foundation for America? Christianity, European culture, people, and freedom. Start with freedom of speech. We're losing them. Yeah, we're not a Christian nation anymore. We're not a European nation anymore. And our freedom of speech, good luck. Where's that going to go? But anyway, she got screwed. I feel for her. But this is what you have when you live in a world of weak white men. The women are not going to be defended. So to any of you feminists out there, good luck to you. Because when there's no white men to protect you, good luck with that. Let me just do something else about the betrayal. I just thought this was interesting because I don't know if you know this guy here, but this is I don't know if you know this guy, John Rich. He sounded like he's some patriot, whatever. He never served in the military, but he's a big patriot. And I wrote him. Interesting. Why did he block me? Hey, John, for a guy who's never served in the military and you say you're a patriot, why would you block me? And what do I keep saying here? This is the hypocrisy. This is the hypocrisy you're going to see. But one last thing, we're going to go to this. I'll just explain this quick here, and then we'll go to the program. And that is, I put this post out here. This is the Declaration of Independence. Not like this stuff matters anymore because, one second, let me come here. So anyway, this is the Declaration of Independence. Again, I think what's going to happen is sooner or later, the Constitution is going to turn into toilet paper. It's not going to matter. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you could read that. Is it highlighted there? It's hard to read, whatever. It basically says U.S. citizens, if they feel like the government is corrupt, dysfunctional, whatever reason you have, the power of the people is to change the government. Just remember, this country was formed by blood and violence, and that's the only way it's going to change. Now, people have accused me. They're like, oh, I'm fomenting some type of revolution. I left America in 2010. Not even close. Lead, follower, get out of the way. I'm telling you, to the American people, you have not seen anything yet. We're going to start this video, but remember this leadership phrase: lead, follow, or get out of the way. They're all fine. We're going to start with get out of the way. How many times when you have a problem, you're trying to fix something, and somebody's in the way, somebody's a pest, you just want him to fuck off, go away, and then they do. That helps the problems. That was me. I left the military dysfunctional. I left the FBI dysfunctional, and I left America dysfunctional. Never said anything negative about this. Sure, I wrote my letter to Senator Chuck Grassley. It is what it is. I'm sure the FBI, some of the choice words I used about the FBI, it is what it is, and they feel like that's also a sense of betrayal. But when I left the military, thank you for the opportunity, just not for me. This is dysfunctional. I left the FBI. This is very dysfunctional. Thank you so much, and I left. I left America. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be born in America. Phenomenal country, but I personally believe it's the Titanic. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's it. Never had any chip on my shoulder, never revenge. Get out of the way. That's fine. That's a leadership. It's the same thing and it takes courage, believe it or not. You're not a quitter. How many times do people work in a corporation and they hate their job? How many people hate your job? And then all of a sudden, one guy says, fuck this. I'm not taking anymore. I quit. It takes courage. And that's one way to do it. So get out of the way. Stop being a problem and just say, I'm out of here. That's a solution. 2 is follow. We can't have leadership without followership. Not everyone can be the leader. I said many times, if I see a leader, I'll be happy to follow him. I haven't seen it yet in America. Donald Trump lit my fire. There's no doubt about that. But he's not the answer. Find a leader. And if you can't find a leader at the high government level, I don't know, find a leader at the local level. I don't know, your dad, your older brother. I don't know, the community. I mean, we don't have any communities anymore, but start out small. And if you're not impressed by anyone, and yes, this is a male leader, not a female leader, then you become the leader. But follow. Be a team. Think about that. We don't have a team anymore. One of the ways that America is dissolving, and it's done intentionally, is because we have an individualistic, greedy corporate mentality. And that makes us weak. Why? Because we are strong together. And that question, good luck with that. I don't know who we are in America, thanks to the forced diversity. But lead, follow, or get out of the way. Find your leader and follow him. And if you're not impressed with the leaders out there, then you become a leader, and maybe I would be proud to follow you. And then 3rd, lead. And if you think leadership is, I'm going to be the next president of the United States, it's done. Washington, D.C. is a day late, dollar short, just like America first. If you're going to lead in politics, it is going to be state politics, and you better start talking secession. And if you go down that road, you better have guns and ammo and a team of boys behind you, because it's going to get violent, because either way, it's going. But that was me. I just got out of the way. I don't even want to deal with this stuff anymore. But this government, how it's treating me, it's going to treat you like that too. Let's go with the first thing here with Tucker Carlson. Like I said, I'm impressed with Tucker Carlson, though when he talks about the racial component, he still sounds like a cuck. He still sounds like, man, I don't care who our president is, black, white, red, or blue. We're all the same human beings inside. Yeah, good luck with that logic. That sounds as retarded as can be. But he is getting more online. Let's see. I think this is him right here, or maybe this is him. Let's start the show with him.
He's with Mossad. What? Big higher House of Representatives. Every Republican but 7 today just voted to merge the U.S. military, the $1.5 trillion a year U.S. military, with the tiny reserve force IDF. Does that help us? No, of course it helps them. Merge American intelligence, the 19 intel agencies, with Mossad. What? basically a humiliation ritual. Whatever you want, Israel. If it hurts us, that's fine. Actually, it feels good to sacrifice for you. Like everyone in the entire government is Mike Huckabee now.
What do I think about that? I'm going to use a little example. I should do videos too. I mean, if I did a video of my ex-wife and also the FBI recruited my ex-wife to spy on me, there's stories about her that are just ridiculous. But guess what? That whole issue I had with my ex-wife, divorce and everything, I don't like to get into it. It's personal. But if I told you the story, it's a fucked up story. But I am 100% to blame for everything that happened to her. Why? Well, I could say you act like a cuck, you get treated like a cuck. I'll do stories on it. It's at the end of the day, the dime fell on me and I'm responsible for that. I'm not going to get into it, but that's responsibility. So what do I think about this? If America wants to be cucks for Israel, then I guess you want to be cucks. I'm done. I talk on this show. I guarantee, I'm going to give you an example. I guarantee one of the reasons, there's many, but one of the reasons that people may not be helping me, politicians or whatever, because they're like, well, I like this guy, David, and he's speaking truth to power, but he's a racist. And I just can't tolerate racism. Fine, have fun. I mean, the amount of testosterone that is dropping in America, it relates to the average white male. So you know what I look at it to the Americans? You want to be an Israeli colony, then be an Israeli colony and you be cucks. The same thing, what happened to me, my ex-wife, I am 100% to blame. Now I've changed. I don't pull that. I've changed dramatically. And I actually thank her for being a good teacher. Hard times create strong men. But those times, you want to be a weak man, women will walk over you. So Americans want to be a colony for Israel. What do I think? You can't change these people. Just do it. Have fun with that. Let's talk about this. This is, I want to do another thing. This is, again, especially, and again, living in China helped me out because you see the world differently through a different lens. But this is not normal, people. This is a U.S. congressman. This is not normal. But American citizens voted for this guy. So what do I think? Have fun. Dude, just have a ball.
Anything about this? Charlene's got her flag. I've got my uniform.
So he knows about me too. Anyway, let me tell you a story, quick story. So that's Congressman Brian Mast from Florida, who served in the IDF. Now, if you're a private American citizen, you serve in the IDF, I guess so. I mean, there are American citizens who serve in foreign countries, military. Not many, but I guess so. You know, it's a free world. A U.S. congressman? I would think that would be what's the word I'm looking for? It's not allowed. Meaning, if you're going to run for a U.S. senator or U.S. Congress and you serve, even if it was our ally like Canada, I would think that would be a rule. No, you're not allowed to do it. But not only did he do it, not only does he flaunt, I mean, he wears his Israeli uniform in House of Congress. And what do the American white men cucks do? Love this guy, man. I'm voting for him. So what do I think? Fucking enjoy it. That's all I can think of. You can't change these men. And what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about, I think Brian Mast is a smart guy. Trust me. I think the Jews are smart. I don't have a problem with them. Same thing when, I'm going to give you an example. I was arguing with the Chinese. At first, I had a really problem with the Chinese. Trust me, the Chinese government is not supporting me. Look at my channel, and you say words like gooks and chinks, they're probably not supporting you. But I'm telling you, they did educate me. There was one time I was pissed off at the Chinese. I'm like, you go with it, because I meet these anchor babies all the time in China. Anchor babies. And I was like, you fucking go to America and do your anchor babies. It's wrong. You know what they looked at me? They said, if you think it's wrong, then change it. That's your law, because you can't do that in China. So what do I keep saying? I use this example, like countries like China and Israel. It's kind of like a woman. Picture a man and his wife. And the man, think of Israel and think of China, which is interesting because the Chinese are known as the Jews of Asia. I know some person corrected me, said, no, they're not. I'm telling you, that's the colloquialism. I'm used to saying it, whatever, Jews of Asia. Anyway, it's like a husband and wife says, I can only have sex with my wife. Her legs stay closed. But all you other wives, Sweden, America, Germany, Britain, I get to fuck all your wives. And what do we do as white men? Okay. So guess what? China is a closed society. Israel is a closed society. You're not Jewish, you ain't getting in. You're not Chinese, you're not getting in. And guess what? Can't blame them. They're pretty smart. But our society needs to be open. And who would be the first person? I keep saying this. Who would be the first person in my face if I, ran for politics? I'm telling you, a white man and a white woman saying, David, you're the most racist person I've ever seen. I hate you. So you know what I think? Fuck it, I don't care. Flood the nation. Flood them. Flood these people. Flood them with Asians. Flood them with that. Flood them. And let the Jews rule over them. I just think it's kind of leadership 101, the school of hard knocks. Sometimes white men, and this is all men, but particularly there's something going on with this liberal cuck individual greed of white men that sometimes they don't learn. I don't want to change it, but I still remember this because pain is such an infusing form of leadership. I still remember boxing. My coach said, you're dropping your hand. And all of a sudden I still remember this to this day. He whacked me so hard in the ear. Luckily, I was wearing headgear, which kind of cushions the eardrum. He whacked me so hard in the ear that I think if I didn't have headgear, because I kind of had a little hearing loss for about a minute or so. I mean, he knocked the wind out of me, or you could say the brain, but it triggered something. Keep your hand up. Why? I think men in general, regardless of what we learn, we have to have physical pain until we learn. So everything I'm saying here, it's all bullshit until pain. And that pain is going to be economic pain and it's going to be security pain. And until that pain hits, no one cares. Because most of these men are like, yeah, thanks, David. I'm going to go jerk off to OnlyFans. Yeah, thanks, David. I'm going to go look at the stock market. Yeah, it is what it is. And I get it. Just do it. But the same thing, it's like, hey, Israel now has taken over the government. And what do they say? Nah, I don't care. I'm going to jerk off to OnlyFans. That's what I'm saying. It's just going to keep going until the pain hits. I think it's going to be economic. Anyway, let's keep going on these videos here. This is another one too. I think this is about Dan Bongino. This is, again, we're going to do a couple of things about the FBI and a little CIA stuff. But this is Dan Bongino too, in terms of this is the guy who's going to protect you from all this stuff. I mean, this is our government that's changing. It's very weird.
Of the deep state to how did Dan go so quickly from a critic of the deep state to its most aggressive defender? What happened to Dan, do you think?
It looks like he had a breakdown of some sort.
He's terrified. That's obvious. I don't know why. I know, having had a lot of contact with Dan Bongino, he turned on a dime. Something happened to him at FBI that just broke him as a man, destroyed his life, and certainly destroyed his career. Dan is working to cover up the activities of the permanent government. I just have never seen anyone change that much or be that afraid. I mean, it looked like he was going to have a heart attack. He was so afraid. I'm not saying that to attack him, but I just wish I knew what happened.
And the reason I say this is Dan's a good example. I'm not a fan of him. He blocks me. He's a piece of shit. But there are a lot of American citizens who had their hopes up for this guy or that guy, and they get into DC, and what happens? It's a grinder, and they do what they're told. But so I keep saying, if you're an American citizen, say, David, I disagree with you. I'm going to continue to pay my taxes, and I'm going to continue to vote with the hope that this is going to change for the better. What do I say? Well, good luck with that. Go for it. I never won't even get close. It's going to get worse and worse and worse, but go for it. But Dan's just that example in terms of this ain't getting. And then we put our hopes up in Donald Trump, right? Now, again, do I still say what I said? Donald Trump is the best president of my entire life. Believe it or not, I probably would say that. Who else? I mean, who could I think of else? I still can't think of else. And he's done many things to push the needle, like he's trying to abolish birthright citizenship. He's on it. I do think he's trying to do his best for illegal immigration. So there are, but I've said many times, he's not going to solve the problem, and the best meaning is yet to come. But I probably would still say he's the best leader. But has he failed by a long shot? I don't know. What do you think?
Was just how much. If you were watching the Trump administration in 2025,
you would have gotten the impression that the Epstein files were a relatively minor issue.
President Trump suggested that nobody cared,
He said that the Epstein story was boring.
that this was a hoax.
These files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama.
But what we learned while we were reporting our book, Regime Change, was just how much the Trump administration, up to the highest levels of the government, were paralyzed over how to deal with a growing crisis. Their biggest obstacle was Donald Trump.
Trump wanted it buried. He didn't want to release the files. His staff knew that this was an issue that they couldn't really talk about.
People in his orbit found him snapping at them if they even raised the issue of Jeffrey Epstein.
So over the summer of 2025, you had some of Trump's most senior advisors, the top level of the government, gathered in the Situation Room,
which is typically used for national security or responding to national disasters,
to figure out a way to spin their way out of this.
Not with the president, but among themselves.
It was an issue that came back to bite them, because many of the same senior people who were in the Situation Room were very strong advocates for releasing the Epstein files, way back even before the 2024 campaign, and potentially a client list, a list of powerful men who were, the rumors had it, involved in sex trafficking with Epstein. We have seen no evidence that there is a client list.
But the idea of a client list had been popularized by, among others, Trump's future vice president.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
His future FBI director.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
And his future deputy FBI director.
The Epstein client list, I believe, is going to rock the political world. There's a reason they're hiding it.
After he was elected, his own attorney general appeared to confirm that a client list existed.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
They go through the files and the message changes very substantially. Very quickly, it became clear that Trump himself was mentioned numerous times across these files.
Does not mean that anything said there was verified about Trump or anyone else, but it did mean that releasing the files was a non-starter for the president and his team.
In the coming months, there were internal conversations about, well, what do we do?
In early July, the Justice Department and the FBI released a joint memo with no names attached to it, just letterhead, saying, in fact, there was no client list and that there were no other people who should be prosecuted in connection with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes.
And all of a sudden, many of his voters who thought that they were electing a president and people around him to get to the bottom of the Epstein story were suddenly feeling that they were actually part of a cover-up.
How many of you are satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation?
During this whole period, Trump was just getting more and more fed up.
He was very used to telling his base what to think and having them believe him.
He accused his supporters of being weaklings. He said he didn't want their support anymore.
He used expletives to say this was all fake, and again said this was all the fault of Democrats.
Any attempts that Trump made to downplay the scandal only reinforced suspicions among his base that they were hiding something. So at those meetings last summer, when President Trump's most senior aides gathered away from him, the vice president thought that they should put everything out there, that Congress was going to force the issue anyway. Others, like the chief of staff, said absolutely no way the president would be okay with that. There was a conversation about whether Todd Blanche, who was the deputy attorney general at the time, whether he should go on Joe Rogan. The vice president said that he should be the one to go on Rogan.
What they didn't talk about was prosecuting additional men or any kind of widespread justice for the victims. We're talking about a number of women who say that they were victimized and abused by Jeffrey Epstein. Many of them were minors. The discussion in the Situation Room was not about how to give these women a hearing or a chance to tell their stories. These meetings were about how to handle the political fallout around the White House.
What ended up happening is their hand was forced by Congress. They ultimately passed, nearly unanimously, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Trump was forced to sign it. And what was clear from our reporting is even after that, even after the passage of this bill and the release of so many of these files, the issue didn't go away at all. Maggie and I obtained a document written by President Trump's top pollster, Tony Fabrizio, which described focus groups that were conducted in March of this year.
It was the sixth most important issue raised by voters in this focus group.
Head of crime and safety, the military, data centers. I mean, these are really potent political issues that ranked below the Epstein files. More than a year after they first started to try to deal with the Epstein crisis.
He just simply could not make it go away by telling his supporters they should believe him instead of something else.
Well, how's draining the swamp been going? How many arrests have been done? What a joke. What do I think about Donald Trump? I said before, compromised or bribed by Israel, something going on. But this whole drain the swamp, and I keep saying again, I think anyone with common sense knows, I'm looking at those Epstein files less on pedophilia, which I get it. That's a serious crime, whatever. That's a criminal, more from a national security. There's intelligence. But anyway, until then, though, what's more important is let's go to war with Iran, because that's important for us. And you know what I'm waiting for? A lot of Americans don't have experience going overseas. I keep a very low profile. Most of the time I tell people I'm Canadian. But the point being is you start traveling overseas as an American and this war continues to go, yeah, good luck to you. If something happens to you, kidnapped, decapitated, I don't know, you support these wars. This is how it is. But anyway, this is be very cautious as an American traveling overseas.
Cites heightened tensions in the Middle East, and the department has issued a worldwide travel alert for Americans abroad. And it cites heightened tensions in the Middle East and warns that groups supportive of Iran could target U.S. citizens and interests overseas. The agency urges Americans to exercise increased caution and closely monitor security guidance from local U.S. embassies and consulates. Officials are also warning that the Iran conflict could directly impact logistics, like commercial flight cancellations and periodic airspace closures.
There was a question, I didn't put the clip, there was a question given to President Trump yesterday about you're destroying civilian infrastructure and targeting civilians in Iran. Other countries would say this is a war crime. What is your response? And Trump said, what news organization are you from? Guy said, New York Times. Yeah, well, you're a loser news. I'm not answering the question. All right, I mean, do what you want. But you start targeting civilians and going down that route, and you as an American civilian traveling overseas, and they decide to target you, what do you think? You play by the sword, you die by the sword. It's going to get very dangerous. Then we got the CIA yo-yo here. Let's hear what he says. This is about traveling into and out of the country, but I'm going to put some comments on this.
4 countries.
Oh, okay. This is something else. Let me hear what he says. Just curious.
I'm going to give you 4 countries to be paranoid about. Islam, we have Israel, then we have China, and we have Russia.
I'm not worried about Islam. So I am actually saying we should be more paranoid of Israel.
Why did you put Islam the lowest out of all of them?
I don't see Islam as a threat to the United States. Meanwhile, Israel actually has the ability to drag us into all sorts of shit. Islam is the only thing on this list that's not a nation state. It's a religion.
That's right.
I'm not worried about a religion. But it's interesting to me that we're actually weighing nation state threats against religious threats. So when we talk about Islamic people, I don't see them as a threat just because of what they do.
Okay, I didn't have the full clip for you. Let me explain that. He's still working for the government. Now, I'm not saying directly, he's indirectly. He's getting monetary financial support for the government. It is what it is. He's an Air Force Academy guy. I kind of know his background. Anyway, what you didn't hear is the clip didn't do the whole clip, meaning the first question by Patrick Bet-David, I'm not a fan of that guy. Anyway, who's the biggest threat? And I believe it was Iran, Russia, China, and Islam. Now, what I do agree with what, I forgot what Andrew Bustamante said is he's not worried about Islam. It's a religion. I'm not worried about it either. Not worried about Islam either. I don't have a problem with Islam. I really don't. But there's a time and a place for everything. And Western society is not Islam. Sorry, but where Islam is in the Middle East, don't have a problem with it. Anyway, he talks about Israel. So that sounds like he's heavy on Israel. What you didn't hear is the beginning of the clip. He put China over Israel. Now, I'm going to make it very clear here on 2 things. There's a difference between the CIA and the FBI. The FBI, what you don't realize is and I'm going to look at this from an intelligence standpoint. The most dangerous and vulnerability of intelligence is something called counterintelligence versus foreign intelligence. The CIA focuses more on foreign intelligence. The FBI focuses on counterintelligence. And there's three categories of counterintelligence: defensive operations, double agent, where you're trying to get information from them, and then also just information gathering. There's 3 departments of them. But what I'm trying to say is this: Now, in my book, I made it clear. I still believe China is the greatest foreign threat to America. Now, I don't believe, and I've said that, I'm not going to reiterate. You can watch my old videos. I talk about China, and I'll talk about China in the future. But China is not looking to destroy America, but they are looking to kick America out as the global supremacy, particularly in Asia. So they're threatening America's global dominance, particularly in Asia, number one. And they would be our greatest threat, or you could say our greatest rival or adversary, foreign. But what's the counterintelligence threat? So you remember, think about it. You're an individual, and we'll just make it simple. We'll divide it by two sets of people. Your inner circle, your mom, your dad, your kids, your colleagues, your best friend. You get my thing. And your outer circle. And your outer circle could also be your enemies, or that could be actually a third outer circle. But your outer circle are your fair weather friends, your okie dokie colleagues, stuff like that. But the point is, when you're looking at foreign intelligence, you're looking at the outer circle. But what is the most vulnerable one? The inner circle. Could you imagine you're betrayed by your own wife, or God forbid your kids? Now we're talking about the East German Stasi, or your best friend. That's where that's where counterintelligence lies. So if you ask me, what is the biggest threat? We'll just say China and Israel. Again, Russia is a different thing. I mean, I don't consider it that much of a threat. It is, but not compared to the other ones. China, as much as they're trying to influence America, and they are trying to infiltrate America, their level of infiltration compared to Israel, it's night and day. So where is that from a counterintelligence standpoint? The insider risk. What is the biggest overall threat risk to America? It's Israel. Why? Now, I'm not saying Israel that, in fact, I've said I don't have a problem with the country of Israel. I know people would look back. All I'm saying is there's a time and a place for countries. And if we're going to be a sovereign country in America, then it doesn't matter what country it is. It even could be Canada. No other country should have influence at that level in the government. So which country do I think has the highest level of influence on our government? I don't know, today's news with our military. I mean, when I was in the FBI, it was a very ambiguous topic. I think the topic of Israel now influence on America. I'm just guessing. I think it's almost getting mainstream now. Like, I think the average American citizen is now starting to realize this is not normal. This is absolutely not normal. And so again, what country has the most influence in our inner circles of government? Israel. Hence, what country is the biggest threat? Israel. China, I would say foreign threat because China's influence in the world is growing at a much greater rate than Israel. But Israel's influence on America compared to China's, night and day. That's my take on it. But anyway, let's go to our buddy Tom Kahn. Remember, Tom Kahn's a military guy. He knows about me, and I said I need help and this and that. And he doesn't care about me. And this is the brotherhood of the military. This is Tommy Boy.
Overseas CIA, etc. Various agencies are in fact abetting overreach. Why is Tom Cotton, who runs the Senate Intel Committee, supposed to oversee CIA, etc., now sponsoring a bill that would merge the CIA with Mossad? Why would you ever pass a law that requires the U.S. government to share sensitive intelligence with a foreign country? Like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. That's the opposite of working on behalf of your people. That's selling them out to a foreign country, in this case, Israel. Why would Tom Cotton do that? Is there something about Tom Cotton that he'd like to keep secret?
Yeah, that guy's a traitor. Here's where I would change my mind about Israel. So again, you think the Chinese intel, the MSS, has this much access in America? Not even close, people. Not even close. The Israelis do. This is where I would change my entire thesis about Israel. Absolutely, if one thing happened. They will never do it because they're smart and Americans are dumb. But what if something changed and Israel says, we are now going to combine with America, so the state of Israel is going to be dual citizen. So you as an American citizen can immigrate tomorrow to Israel. You'll be able to vote. You'll be able to, they'll make it a bilingual country, so it'll be English and Hebrew. So you as an American citizen passport holder can move to Israel tomorrow, vote in their elections, run for their cabinet members, be part of their government, buy houses, have all the exact same rights. So it's one country. The same thing that Donald Trump says he wants Venezuela, he wants Greenland. Okay, well then let's take Israel. That would change it then. Why? Well, we're combining our intelligence, combining our military, But then you as an American citizen can go to Israel and you could run, I guess it would be called the governor then, not a prime minister. You could run for the governorship of Israel because then it would show us we are one nation per se. Who would say no to that? Well, Israel. Israel say no. And I don't blame them. They're smart. They'd say no. So then guess what do we have? We have a foreign influence insider threat. Do I really care about talking about this anymore? No. I think most white people would be like, that sounds pretty racist, David. I think it's okay. As long as I keep paying my tax and I keep voting, everything's going to work out. Well, have fun. Do with that. There comes a time where you talk about this stuff, it doesn't matter. But anyway, let's talk again about two things. This is the CIA yo-yo talking.
But at worst, they could also be if you traveled to China, if you traveled to Cuba, you had a watcher, you had a surveillance team.
Really?
That was watching you.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're wealthy, you're successful, you're an influencer, you're of significance. At the very least, they want to make sure that some petty criminal doesn't hurt you in their country, because that could be a big deal.
Thank you.
But
please continue to surveil me.
But at worst, they could also be scraping your cell phone to pull all of your contacts off the cell phone so that they could then reach out to any of the contacts that you have on your cell phone. They could scan and duplicate your hard drive as you go through secondary or go through immigration in a foreign country.
They can scan my hard drive as I go through immigration?
Absolutely. We can do that here in the United States too.
So why did I do that clip? Well, I'm not disagreeing what Andrew said. But as an American citizen taxpayer, and I've had in my same place, if you go to foreign countries, it depends. It could come with the territory. But what about, more importantly, maybe less worried about China, Russia, these other countries? Because again, why should they be loyal to you? You're a U.S. citizen. I'd be more worried as an American citizen who pays my tax money to the American government. Maybe I'd be more concerned with what? The U.S. government.
Customs and Border Patrol. So I was just detained for hours at JFK Airport by Customs and Border Patrol. You know, it's funny, people always ask me what I think would happen if I entered Israel. Well, let me tell you what just happened when an American citizen entered America. I just returned from Turkey. I was supporting the Global Samud Flotilla. So Homeland Security, they took me right off the plane, put me in an office for 4 hours, full of questions, mostly about Israel, some about Cuba, and their weird obsession with Chris Smalls. Multiple rooms, multiple officers, hours of questioning, mostly centered around Israel. They confiscated my passport, they took all of my technology, they demanded I unlock everything, but naturally I refused, and they infringed on my rights for Israel.
Okay, I get it. He's probably one of these weirdo Jews, but when I was in the FBI, one of the main group they were spying on were American Muslims. Again, I don't have a problem with Islam, but the home of Islam is in America. It's not Europe. So, you know, meaning it's not like I'm a champion of Islam, but they were U.S. citizens. So this guy, wacky Jew, not going to argue with you. He's a U.S. citizen. Not like it means anything. This whole concept of American citizenship doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know who an American citizen is, but at least let's play the game. Be very careful, people. So again, the first clip is about going to China, going to Russia. They're going to spy on you. Do you blame them? If they think you're a possible threat or interest, that government, meaning China, is going to look out the interest of them. So I don't necessarily have a big problem with that. You're a U.S. citizen. I probably do care a little bit if you're Muslim, this and that, because we got too much diversity. But at least in the time being, you're a U.S. citizen. This wacky Jew, he's a U.S. citizen. He pays, or we're going to assume they pay their taxes to the U.S. government, and our U.S. government has a loyalty to who? To U.S. citizens. Now, if this guy was not a U.S. citizen, this story, I wouldn't even be speaking here. He's a U.S. citizen. And of course, this happened to me. And oh, by the way, if you don't give them the password to unlock your devices, they will seize it. Very similar what happened to me, even more. But the point is thinking about what's going on, people. This is the country we want to live in. This is the country as U.S. citizens. Excuse me. I say again, I would be more worried about our own government doing this sort of stuff than foreign governments. It's going to get even worse. Now, what I want to do is this last clip is pretty simple. Pretty easy. You got to be very careful, people. This comes from the military. During the Tiananmen Square, I'm trying to tie this a little bit. During the Tiananmen Square massacre, it's a very sensitive topic. It is what it is. There was debates during this elevated tension in Beijing. There were debates between different party leaders on what to do with the protesters. This was getting out of hand. And they were going around the room. And there was one leader, I think it was Zhou Enlai. He's like, I have the peace. So they were arguing what to do. And one of the theories is we send in the military. I think it was Zhou Enlai. He's like, I have the people behind me. Like, he was a very popular person. We can solve this through people, you know, whatever. We're gonna de-escalate it. And I believe it was Deng Xiaoping. He's like, he goes, what happened with Deng Xiaoping goes, I have the military on my side. Just like anything, just like Trump, the commander in chief. He goes, I have the military on my side. And the other one said, I have the people on my side. And what did Deng Xiaoping? He goes, that means you have nothing. Why? Guns and ammo, people. Guns and ammo. So what am I trying to say here? What did I say many times about the people in the government? If you think the people in the government are doing their job for duty, honor, country, wake up, paycheck and a pension. That's what people are like. Thank you for your service. Even Americans. This is, like I said, I've changed my mind. You know, you look at the government, the globalist government is evil, not the good old hardworking American citizen. Nah, I think a lot of Americans are a piece of shit. And we had a civil war. It's going to get. But the same American citizens like, I support military veterans. These same people, the comments that they say to me, it's amazing. So we're losing all this stuff. But anyway, meaning we're losing all these concepts of what are you back the blue, black the military? Even our military we don't really have a bond. So the military. So now our military are engaged in Iran. Why are they in Iran? Because duty on our country, protecting America? Okay. Let's see this clip and then we'll explain.
Saying this is not me saying this.
Right.
Everybody knows they're fighting for Israel. It's a joke. And this isn't
true?
me saying this. This is not me saying this.
Right.
This is them. This is the guys that are going to go over there in tier 1, tier 2 units that are joking around saying like, yeah, this isn't even for us. And, you know, throughout history, that's not a winning strategy.
Well, especially since
if they don't believe in what they're potentially going to do, which hopefully they're going to do nothing.
Yes.
But high probability they're going to do something. And they know it's not for the United States, it's for a foreign country. Like, the fight's out of the dog, buddy.
Really? Well, especially because they could get killed. I mean, the kind of high stakes.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
They know it's not for us. We're not defending our country.
And you think they know that?
No, I don't think they know that. I know they know that because I just had a going away party for one, and that's all he was talking about. And it's fucking sad.
I mean, it's such a betrayal. It's such a betrayal.
Why don't they just quit? I'll do stories on military. You have no clue how many of these people in our government ate paycheck. So the point being is they're going to Iran, not for our freedoms. They know this. They know they're doing it for a mission that doesn't encapsulate duty on our country for America. It's basically they're government mercenaries. So why are they doing it? Well, what's a mercenary? Well, they need money and a pension. The question is what happens if the orders are given to kill Americans on home soil? They would never do that, David. These are honorable men who serve in our military, just like the FBI and the CIA. They would never do that. They're serving for duty, honor, country. Okay, we'll see. What do I think? Center mass, you're going down. I have no doubt about it. That's how it is. I'm not saying they're going to be enjoying. There's going to be a lot of reluctant followers. But at the end of the day, paycheck and a pension. I'll do more stories on these people. I'm not impressed. And I get it. I was probably similar like you. I grew up, I was like, wow, Delta Force, wow, FBI, wow, CIA. I get it. I'm not saying. But, I mean, that's why I went into the FBI. It wouldn't make any sense if I was like, man, these FBI's dysfunction. Then why would I go in? After I went in, I quit. So I'm telling you right now, the difference between me, and I don't want to debate it to those FBI whistleblowers. We're not the same. These people, they won't quit. Why? Because most of them, it is the best paycheck and best pension that they will ever get in their lives. But I thought they were so courageous. They could quit and, find another job. And, if they work at McDonald's, they'll do it. These guys are hardworking. And no. It's a lot of shitbags. You would be surprised. Not Delta Force. I'm telling you what, and we'll do stories in there. Delta Force, they learn how to shoot. Where are they going to do their next job when they get out? Go to the police. That's how it is. Yeah, but these guys are FBI and the CIA. No, I'm telling you. Just is what it is. But I'm just saying right now, do I believe our military knows that this is not about duty on a country? Of course, they signed up for that. They're like, what are the paycheck? What are the benefits? Boom, boom, boom. Well, I couldn't get accepted by IBM, so I'll come here and I tried to get accepted at Walmart. And what's the pension? What's the percentage? So 1, 2, and you're going to find out. This is why I really hope there's a full ground invasion into Iran. And there's going to be a lot of these dumb MAGA people fully behind it, which I hope there's a draft for them. Of course, me, I'm not getting drafted. I'm done. But you wait until the meat grinder starts and the body bags start coming back. Our military will capitulate. Why? Because it's hard to have a truly strong fighting force purely based on mercenary principles. That's why the Taliban, there has to be some type of principles that is beyond the mortal realm that says, I'm willing to die for this. How many people are really willing to die for money? A lot of people are doing a lot of things for money, but they don't want to die, hence the military. It will capitulate. And then that same thing, well, if they're willing to follow these orders that aren't duty on a country, they're mercenaries to go to this country, that country, what if the orders one time are given on domestic soil with Americans? Would they do it? And some of you are questioning, what do I think? Absolutely. And hence, what do I keep saying? This is going to start going into civil war. We had it before. We had West Point graduates killing other West Point graduates. That's what a civil war is, along with Americans. We had this already. Never going to happen again? So it's like saying World War III, never going to. Well, we had World War I, we had World War II. If I was a betting man, I'd say we're probably going to have World War III. When is the big question? Is it going to be in 5 years? In 50 years? I think before then. It happens. Civil wars happen. But again, this is our great military. What do I think about MAGA? Well, maybe you should start learning Hebrew. That's what I would say. I mean, everybody wants to be a Zionist right now and work for the Jews. Well, learn some fucking Hebrew and get to the synagogues and be a good server for the Jew. I mean, think about if you had a son who's a cock and he's like, Dad, I'm a homo and I love to suck cock. What do you do with him? You could disown him. Some people, I think about what do you do when you look at these white men and that are just absolute cocks? Well, one is you disassociate with them. That's why I left America. I just like this is going to turn into a toilet bowl. I'm telling you it will. So I just left. So if you can't leave though, what do? I don't know. You ever heard of knock some sense into people? Meaning until there's physical violence, I just don't think these people are going to change. And that also goes with the liberals. These liberals too, or even like Tucker Carlson's like, I don't care what race you are. Wait until Tucker lives in a white minority environment, meaning you're going to have to experience that pain. So that's the video today. You can tell I'm not very enthusiastic because really at the end of the day, think about it. What is the regular American do? Oh my God, we are now merged with the Israeli military, their intelligence side. Israel's going to control us, this and that. You know what I'd say? Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to continue to pay my taxes and I'm going to vote for the better candidate. Okay. Have fun. What do you do with me? Have you ever thought about guns and ammo? Never. Violence is not the answer. And if you do violence, I'm going to report you to the FBI. They know about me already. Okay. That's fine. And that's fine. Then don't do any violence. In fact, violence wasn't the option. Me, I left. Hence, I left. I had this whole theory that I'm somehow some type of international terrorist or working to open up. There's no evidence. So the point is just like that. If they can pursue me with no evidence, well, they're going to pursue you. And when America starts getting worse and worse, you've not even seen how ruthless the FBI is. But don't worry, we have the Indian man. Mr. Indian man, Kash Patel. He's got our back. A guy that J. Edgar Hoover would have never allowed in the FBI. Mr. Indian man. That's it. Don't be racist, David. Remember, it's like, did I tell you the story? This I like to use the Delta Force story because Delta Force is still the premier, but it's sort of like Delta Force is recruiting people. This kind of goes on the story with Kash Patel when you're dealing with the typical cuck white American man. And someone's like, listen, sir, Delta Commander, I'm an 18-year-old kid from high school, and I want to join the Army, and I'm going to try to get into the Army Rangers, and I'm going to try to get into Delta, and I want to be the best of the best, the Delta. And the Delta Commander says, well, the Delta, we are the deadliest, most strongest and lethal and smart and adjective in the world. The best of the best. We're not afraid of anything. We'll fight a tiger with our bare hands. And he goes on, and we'll kill here, and do that. We are the best. We are just robotic in whatever we do. We're the best, whatever. Shoot, move, and communicate. And then the 18-year-old kid says, wow, man, that sounds awesome. I mean, you guys sound like you are the elite. I mean, sort of like the Nazis, the SS. And then the Delta Force said, hey, we are not the SS. We're Delta Force, and we fight racism. Racism is not tolerated in Delta. We fight against racism. And then the 18-year-old guy that was so excited, and then he's like, oh, geez, that sounds like a cuck. Yeah, I changed my mind. I don't feel like going in Delta Force now. Goodbye. It's just that's how the white man is. It just really is. It's him. And I'll do one other story, but it was kind of when I was trained professional boxers. Not like I'm to my horn with boxing. It was like I was mostly an amateur boxer, but I was trained with some professional boxers, and I was actually the assistant boxing coach for the first Chinese World Boxing Champion, WBC. This was back in 2012. Anyway, just from my boxing experience, and this goes with other sports, when you're recruiting athletes, number one is DNA. I know the Hollywood doesn't want to make it. It's like hard work and training. It's like trying to get into the NBA at 5 foot tall. You show me a guy who's 7 feet tall. Okay, now we're working with someone. Now he might still not be that good. We got to look at his athleticism. We can train him, but 7 feet tall, and we're going to say a proportioned body. That's a good base to get into the NBA. Same thing with boxing. How strong is your chin? How hard can you punch? Even naturally, without learning how to box, there's that raw DNA talent. If you don't have that, we're not wasting any time on you. Well, guess what I'm saying here? I just think the white man, there's a lot of white men, we're talking genetically, and the genome is able to change through decades and centuries. And how does it change? There's a lot. It could change through our chemicals, plastics in our food, GMOs. I've said this many times, and people are like, this guy's crazy. The problem is leadership. If I can't have strong men, I can't have leaders. There's got to be this sense that this person, and I'm not even talking about your muscles. There's something what do you use the word in the military? This sort of intestinal courage, this fortitude, where I look at this guy and I think, this guy's not afraid. I look at him, I say, hey, Billy, I don't think many things scare you. And he's like, if I die, I die. I don't give a fuck. There's that sense of that. You got to feel that. And then we can train. But if you don't have that, what do you have? Well, Israel now is taking charge of our country. I don't know what to do. But I don't want to do violence, and I don't want to be a racist. So I'm going to continue to vote and pay my taxes. What do you do with that person? Nothing. But I do think there is going to be segments of men. There still are in America, no doubt, but they're dwindling. Toxic masculinity. There's many things that have killed off these strong white men because there's a lot of, we'll just say, entities, to include Israel. They don't like strong white men. Sounds a lot like Adolf Hitler. Don't like that. They're still there in America. And I'd say to those men, your time is coming, because what did I say about Donald Trump? He's not going to solve the problem. And I said this before he got elected, everything. I said he's not going to solve the problem, even though I liked him. He's not going to solve the problem. And I said this too, the best is yet to come. You're going to see, like if you're MAGA and you're like, wow, I love MAGA, we're so national, you're not nationalism. If you think MAGA are nationalists, you have not seen anything yet. So I would say there's probably still hope in America. And to those men who haven't left, because think about it, if you're a man with high testosterone, you're working in a corporation and they treat you like dog shit, those men probably quit. Sort of like me leaving America. Like, dude, I'm a man and I will get treated with respect. This corporation, I quit. It takes courage. So some of them probably left America, but they're still there in America. And those men, they're going to rise. And they're not going to be in Washington, D.C. You want to know why? Because they don't care so much about America first, because they know it's gone. They're going to care about their own plot of land, which could be a state, a set of states, or it might start as a city. There's a revolution brewing. You're going to see it. So what do I think the take is with this Israel thing? It is what it is, people. I left America and because I knew that this ship is sinking, and that was one of the areas to do it. And in some ways, I am helping out. I don't pay my U.S. taxes. Now your U.S. taxes are being paid, and guess where they're going to? They're going to Israel now. So keep paying your taxes, and now you're supporting Israel. Me not paying any taxes, I am part of the solution. I'm not paying into this. I'll pay my taxes in North Korea before I pay this. So until then, what do I think? Oh, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. 100%. You have not seen anything yet. Until then, to the Patriots, I would say this. There are strong leaders there. If you're not a strong leader, find one and follow them. If you're not impressed with any, then be your own leader and inspire other people to follow you. Or you could be me, and no, it's not a quitter, it's part of leadership. You can get out of the way. And people are doing it. You're just leaving America. I'll do a story later. I met a Canadian, or not a Canadian, I met an American guy from Louisiana sitting on the bench in Hong Kong in a park. He left. He's like, I'm done. I'm traveling around the world. He's looking at Eastern Europe. It's rising. People are leaving. I'm not advocating that as the primary solution, leaving America, but it's one. It was just what I chose. But I'm telling you, if you think you're going to stay in America and you're going to fix this solution by paying your taxes and you're going to vote, okay, what do I think about that? I don't know. Shalom, shalom. Lead to victory.